Hey everyone, welcome back to Political X. For more knowledge and updates on UK, European and US politics, make sure you subscribe to this channel.
We're just about to head over the edge of a cliff as a country. This document warns of medicine shortages, half-hour trade being affected, people not being able to get in and out of the country. It's absolutely right, in exactly the same way as Winston Churchill was giving details of military unpreparedness in the 1930s. It's absolutely right that we should be doing the same about what will be a massive national catastrophe if this is allowed to happen.
Do you remember Operation Yellowhammer? The government's reasonable worst-case planning assumptions, completed on the 2nd of August 2019 and leaked to the press.
The so-called Operation Yellowhammer document warns of a possible 3-month meltdown in Britain's ports, a shortage of food and medicine, and the closure of 2 oil refineries. The British government has played down the paper as representing a worst-case scenario. Minister Michael Gove said there would be bumps in the road, but that the country was now better prepared. However, the threat of a hard border in Ireland, highlighted in the document, will focus minds ahead of talks between Johnson and European leaders, scheduled for Wednesday and Thursday.
Now, there were all sorts of issues related to this document as well. Originally, the first release of this document, first leak, didn't say worst case, it said base. This is what they were expecting to happen. The British public were also informed that this was made before Boris Johnson came to power. We now know that is false, and it was actually made during his tenure.
I think some of the concerns about a no-deal Brexit have been exaggerated. It's certainly the case that there will be bumps in the road, some element of disruption in the event of no deal. But the document that has appeared in the Sunday Times was an attempt in the past to work out what the very, very worst situation would be so that we could take steps to mitigate that. And we have taken steps, not just to deal with some of the risks, but also to make sure that our economy and our country are better placed than ever to leave the European Union on October the 31st.
It does have some very interesting reading, especially when we now have what is taking place right now as of the 28th of August 2021.
Itself with a shortage of milkshakes and some bottled drinks at McDonald's. Last week, Nando's closed some branches after running out of chicken, and KFC also warned recently that supply chain issues meant some dishes were off the menu.
So, there are 20 points, and point 14 is redacted, so I'm not sure what it was to say about disruption on the border. What I'm going to do is not focus on all the points here. I'm going to just go over some of the key ones that are quite shocking as a prediction when you have the context of 8 months of Brexit and being a third country. Point 6 talks about medical supplies, supply of medicines, stating that in a worst case scenario it will have an impact on supply of medicines and medical supplies. The reliance of medicines and medical products supply chains on the short straits crossing make them practically vulnerable to severe extended delays. 3/4 of medicines come via the short straits. Supply chains are also highly regulated and require transportation that meets strict good distribution practices. This can include limits on the time of transit. All mean product must be tested under temperature controlled conditions. While some products can be stockpiled, others cannot due to short shelf lives. It will not be practical to stockpile products to cover expected delays of up to 6 months.
I have no confidence that this can be managed on this scale. It's an enormous undertaking. The idea that you can stockpile the whole of the NHS's drug bill for a 6 month period, which is billions of pounds, and you can manage the logistics, I think that's cloud cuckoo land.
We are already seeing issues related to this. There appears to be, according to some leaked sources in the press, a shortage, or the beginnings of a shortage, in blood test tubes. Now that's just medical supplies. We are to see what happens with medicines. Low income groups will be disproportionately affected by any price rises in food and fuel. Shock. The rich get away with murder.
And just before you go, how much is the price of value bread?
Value bread?
Yes.
Well, it depends, you know.
No, come on. Nowhere to go.
50p, 49p.
Have you been gelling up on your value bread? That's what Dave couldn't answer this morning.
Right?
The PM couldn't say.
Oh, right. Well, anyway, I'm not. You mustn't. I mean,
do you buy value bread?
I can tell you the price of a bottle of champagne. How about that?
Now, I find number 19 to be particularly interesting. So, one of the things they seem to concern themselves with is illegal fishing taking place in UK waters from day one. But what it then goes on to say is this is likely to cause anger and frustration in the UK catching sector, which could lead to both clashes between fishing vessels and an increase in non-compliance in the domestic fleet. Competing demands on the UK government and DA maritime agencies and their assets could put enforcement response capabilities at risk, especially in the event of concurrent and cumulative incidents. We've already seen this. We've seen blockages at ports in the Channel by French fishermen who are hacked off already by what they've seen and had to experience and had to deal with because of Brexit. We've already seen anger within the fishing community, which none of the Brexiteers will visit at the moment, because they can't get access into the EU without having to go through all sorts of paperwork, and we were promised there was going to be reduced red tape. Well, it's increased. But it's interesting they saw incidents taking place, and they have, but they're not for the reasons that they've suggested. The other point that 19 makes, or point 19 makes, is quite interesting, because what it suggests is that enforcement and response capabilities are going to be at risk because the UK government and the Department dealing with maritime issues are going to struggle. Because not only are they going to be dealing with like fishing vessels coming in from all over Europe to come and illegally fish, but there might be border violations from smuggling and illegal migration, which is something we are definitely seeing. And we already know that the maritime agencies responsible for protecting our shores are not able to cope with this. In fact, it's actually worse for those that care about illegal immigration to the extent they do and make negative comments about it and horrible aspersions about the people coming over. It seems like our fleets weren't ready to go to deal with this, nor can they take those people back to France now, because we're a third country. It is absolutely fascinating to see what's taking place within the UK, and it's almost shocking to see how Yellowhammer is unfolding. It is bashing at the UK. So what do you think of the points that I've made about Operation Yellowhammer? Are some of them true and some of them not so true? There's definitely a few things they've missed out there. They have not recognised there's going to be an issue in Northern Ireland. That is obviously something that our security services have completely failed to acknowledge. And we are seeing a number of issues take place in Northern Ireland at the moment, whether that's rioting or the fact that there seems to be on almost a weekly basis now pipe bombs being found. What are your thoughts? Put them in the comments below. Love to hear them, love to respond to them. I hope you enjoyed my political observations this week. If you'd like to support me, please share the video with others and post about it on social media. If you're keen for more, subscribe, comment, like, and hit that notification button. Thanks for listening, and see you next time on Political X.